Hey, this is Eric from Catching Light.
Hey, this is Hemp.
Hey, this is Glenn.
Hi, I'm Steve-O.
Hey, this is Drew Hines with Hindsight Imagery.
This is Matt Callahan at Digimatty Photographic Services.
Hey, this is Jason, and welcome to Tales from the Pit. Hey, and welcome to Tales from the Pit. In this episode, we're going to talk about our early shots and how it got us involved with concert photography. First off is this cool shot from Steve. Steve, tell us all about it.
Thanks, buddy. This is a shot of my friend Eric Grant and the Eric Grant Band. This is actually at Meadowbrook on what was then the second stage. He had opened that night, and the rules were a little bit different, and we were also closing the night as that night had ended. And country music star Chris Young had come out and joined him on stage because he had a ton of people over there. This particular shot, Eric and I have named it the 12 gauge Alvarez, and it's just one of these kind of cool shots. I'm standing behind the drum kit, and Eric's just kind of pointing at the drummer, getting him to wrap this song up, and we're gonna finish this up and get on the next thing. It was just kind of a neat shot that I kind of thought, I could do this job. This is cool. This is right at the beginning when I switched over from film to DSLR. This shot of Peter Frampton is from my first show back in 2011. This particular shot, I can remember very distinctly that he was performing Lines on My Face, and for a second, I kind of listened to the lyrics and listened to the music, and I held the camera up there, and I kind of had to choke back a little bit of emotion. So I was like, wow, I'm really doing this. This is like the real thing. I'm really shooting like a major act here. This isn't just my buddy's band. And I remember vividly thinking, dude, get your shit together. Let's go. And I was able to focus on what I needed to do to get it done. And this shot holds I got a little affection for this shot because it was my first one, and because I remember it so well, the emotions that it brought out in me in my first show.
That is so cool, especially having a Peter Frampton because he just retired. So such a classic first moment too. What was it like? So back then, were you able to shoot from the barricade, or did you have certain rules for this show?
Just first three from down front. And as you guys know, later on here in the last few years, Peter's been soundboard only, front of house stuff. So this was right down front. The only rule was that they didn't want me blocking any of the patrons' views. So if I was, down in the aisleway or something like that, I kind of took a knee down at the aisle and just got out of people's way.
I can relate to that feeling, like kind of being overwhelmed, like damn, this is my first big show, and then like, all right, now focus, get it together, get the shots that you need, and so I remember that feeling with my first big show, and kind of buzzing around with your cameras hanging off your shoulders, and it's definitely a feeling you don't forget.
Yeah, I'll make some comments on that once I get my photo up, because Peter Frampton, as you see behind me here, is one of my first. So we'll talk about that. I know the feeling though, Steve.
I certainly get that same feeling now, even opening night. It doesn't matter who the act is. If I can get lucky enough to pull that opening night draw, getting in there and seeing our old Meadowbrook family, and getting to see you guys after a winter off, and then getting out, being in the live music scene, I get that same feeling every time. I don't care if we're soundboard and don't have great access. It's just, I'm very happy being in there shooting that live music. While we're talking about Peter Frampton, send it all over to Glenn. He's got a Peter Frampton shot from his first show that he wants to talk about a little bit.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Steve. This goes back to 2016, my first show, or one of my first shows anyway. I think it was in June, I believe. And boy, I'll tell you what, I was nervous. I know how to shoot, but the problem with it was it just came so fast and everything just happens. You get your rules you have to remember. I think we were in front of house that night. And that's the first 3 songs, so on and so forth. So it's like, okay, I hope they got my settings right. I'm looking for that perfect opportunity to grab something that's going to be, well worth looking at. And this one kind of caught me. I really like this one, just the way he was interacting with the fans. God, I don't know what song he was singing. You guys remember songs from a picture. I'll never know that. But no, this is like one of my favorites. Great time. I was hooked after that for sure.
Yeah.
You guys are the lucky ones to be able to be there doing this while these artists were still doing their thing. Unfortunately, some of them are no longer doing it. So it's, this is pretty cool that you had that opportunity.
What's neat about it is I grew up in that era of Peter Frampton. My sister had the album. We used to listen to it all the time. And to be able to photograph somebody that you grew up with as a child, it's like, holy cow, this is really cool.
Yeah, it really makes you reminisce. For me, it was back in high school, since I'm the old guy. When he was just a young kid. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially as an introduction to your first show, being able to shoot Frampton, you guys, it's like, damn, this is a legend.
I saw that at the draft, and I said, man, I got to get this one. We'll talk about the draft at another time, but you guys will catch on to that.
It's funny how you talk about remembering songs, and I can't tell you that I can remember everything and every song. It just that particular night and that particular shot, it took me back to that lines on my face lyric and being able to listen to him sing that song. And a lot of times you'll ask me, what was going on here, what was going on there, and I have no effing idea. I have no idea. But certainly, it's like your first love. You never forget your first kiss. You never forget your first show.
And now I'm going to throw it over to Drew Hines, and he'll talk about this one. This is pretty cool. I love the lighting on this one, Drew. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. So this is Jake Sininger from Humphreys McGee. This is my very first concert that I ever got a press pass or a photo pass to. And this was at the Hampton Beach Casino in New Hampshire. And I was really excited. I was going to go to the concert anyways, but to be able to be down in the pit for the first 3 songs and be able to shoot from anywhere else after that, it was a really cool experience. So they have a really cool light show, lasers and different really nice front lighting, back lighting, really cool experience. So this was just one of those shots that the light kind of lined right up with this guitar. I took a series of 3 or 4 photos, and this one just lined up perfectly with his guitar solo. So this was the first one that really got me hooked and started building my portfolio. Once I was able to get some really cool shots of a decently well-known band in the jam band scene, I was able to get more experience, get the ball rolling. So these guys, I'm really grateful for these guys for giving me the chance to photograph their show.
That band is really good too, Drew. I met you down there one night for these guys, and I knew nothing about them, and they were fantastic.
Yeah.
Not to take away from the shot. This was a great shot, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
It's funny. I've noticed that there's a constant theme that we're not talking about the shot as much as we're talking about the emotion of how we felt when we were shooting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just being able to, I mean, being at a concert is mostly, an auditory experience, but the visual experience and being able to capture that is just something really special.
Yeah, the excitement of the concerts is always up anyways, but when you get that chance to get down front or close and even bring a camera in there, which most people can't do, that's what gets me charged up.
Absolutely.
I just love that lighting. The two different color lightings and the fact that you have R2D2 in there.
Yeah, that's right.
It just pulls the whole thing together.
That's right. They had little Star Wars figurines all placed. I think there was a Yoda in the front. They had them spread out all over their set. So it was pretty cool. And yeah, if we can, and then we can move on to the first concert at the venue that we worked on was 2 years later, was in 2016. So that was in 2014. This is about the same month, June of 2016, and it was Ringo. And I remember when we were picking our shows during the draft, just I saw a Beatle up there, and I was like, man, my mom's always instilled like the whole Beatle mania in me since I was a kid. So seeing him, I had to pick him just to kind of add him to the portfolio, kind of a bucket list shot. So, and we had this one. I think this is the first show, and I think I learned the most. This show, I had two bodies. I had a crop sensor, and I had a full frame, and two different focal lengths, and I learned a lot from these three songs from Ringo. And I just remember being flustered and switching between the two, and from then I just wanted to kind of simplify it. And so I learned a lot. I learned a lot from this show. I didn't really get anything that was really portfolio worthy, but it was definitely a learning experience, and I'll never forget just that feeling of being able to shoot my first kind of big show.
And like you said, shooting Ringo Starr is not everybody gets a chance to do that. That's pretty good. I think I shot him once before as well.
Yeah, and as a performer, as a show, it was kind of boring, but yeah, just to have the opportunity to photograph him was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was hoping for him this year, but of course I got sidelined. But
right, yeah.
this next year,
play with the Avett brothers. He was supposed to play with the Avett brothers. He was supposed to play with that. That would have been a fun set.
Yeah, we're going to be fighting Drew over the Ringo and Avett brothers.
Right.
I can take him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome shot. I mean, that again, your very first official gig is like one of the biggest musical legends there is on the stage. So cool.
Right. Yeah. So it was kind of a vindication of I'm a concert photographer now, so it was nice. It was memorable. All right, we're gonna pass it over to Hemp. We're gonna hear about how he got into concert photography. He's gonna start off with this photo.
Thank you, Drew. This is basically my son and his best friend Cody. They started young playing, and I used to follow him around. They ended up with a larger band after that, but this is what got me going on taking pictures of concerts, because he used to do small little bars here and there when they were younger, and so I took a bunch of these, and some of these are the ones I showed at the venue too to get the job, and it's like, oh, well, that's not too bad. They like my crowd picks better, but this is what just got me really going, because I was basically doing weddings and sports before, but then, just being around bands and stuff, like we talked about before, the energy and stuff is always fun. So, but that I just wanted to show this and just show how I got started. Very small in a little bar called Patrick's in Goffstown, which is no longer there. But we can.
You talk about how we got rules and stuff, right? You look at that shot of your son and his buddy. There's no rules there, right? You got flash going on.
Oh yeah, it was total opposite of what you could do. Hey, you got to start somewhere.
You did.
Yeah.
I love it.
You can shoot the first 30 songs. It's not bad.
No, they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, I don't want any sweaty pictures of us, Dad.
I'll be right.
Yeah. And this one's my first one, and this is where I learned where the front of the house was, back at the soundboard. Chris Stapleton. And like everyone else, I was so flustered on my first shoot. Like Drew said, I carried two bodies. I had two extra lenses in my pockets, which is dangerous. and I had so much gear with me, I was stupid. And I was trying to change lenses and trying to get the right shots. And on this one, we had the 3 songs we could do. But yeah, I was so nervous. I wasn't getting the right exposure on it because I'd never shot with all this different lighting before. So that was a challenge. But it turned out not too bad. And I took way too many shots, about 3,000, because I had a very fast camera. And Steve had told me right up, don't take a lot. And I didn't listen to him. And, and I had to cull through 3,000 shots at the end of the night, which I was there till like 11:30. So,
Lessons we learn.
yes.
Yeah. We'll have to talk more about that on our
Yeah.
day in the life of.
Yep.
But I had a question for you, Hemp. If you're carrying 2 bodies, why are you changing lenses?
Because I didn't know which lenses I would need.
I got 20 lenses in my bag, and I'm not sure which one I need.
Oh God, I had 1635s, 2470, 7200. I had a oh God, there was another one I had too. My 85 millimeter. It's like I didn't know what I was going to have to bring out there. It was my first time out. Nobody
The
told me.
lessons we learn.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's how we learn. Yeah, trial and error, and
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
now we're just
Absolutely.
And I think Steve was laughing at me. So
No, I mean, I still carry two cameras around all the time.
oh, me too, but I had everything else.
He had his laptop in his back pocket too, I think.
You laugh. There was back in the day, I would edit shows from what's now the Harpoon Saloon on a laptop.
Oh, wow.
Well, we can talk about that too. We've been all
Sure.
over that pavilion.
Yeah, no, there's some throwback stuff we can talk about for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. Was this a soundboard you said?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And next photo up, I will let Jason tell us all about this one.
Thank you. Yes. So this is, I was actually at the show. So if you go back and watch the early episode, I talked about how I got into concert photography. And one of the things I used to do was I would go to shows and I would sneak this little camera in my pocket. And it's just a little point and shoot camera. So when we would, try to get some good seats for the shows that we like. And sure enough, I pull that camera out and it has a pretty decent, it's okay. And, it's a little, point and shoot, but has some pretty decent image quality. So this was shined down. This was 2017, I believe. And I shot this and I really didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just knew a little bit about the camera. I was doing landscape photography and stuff like that. So this is one of my favorite bands. So I just brought the camera, tried to snap as many pictures as I could, get a couple videos as well. And when I got home, I was looking at the photos and I was like, oh my God, these came out so cool. I wasn't expecting, you have no idea what you're going to get, especially on a handheld. And they came out so cool. So I just started posting them. And sure enough, that's how I got involved with the venue for taking photos. So this was my shot that sort of got me the gig. And then, give me a second. I got to go pull up I forgot to load up my first show.
We talked about the little pocket thing while you're doing that. I went out to see ZBB at the, what's the one in Vegas? ACMs or CMAs?
I think CMA. CMA.
Is out in Vegas. Let's say it's the CMAs. And somebody gave me a little pocket camera to use. And there's shots of me and my buddies and shots of people there and just kind of terrible, shots. And then, I'm showing my wife all this stuff of Vegas. And then there's like 2 or 3 shots of the band where it's like primo. And she's like, oh, look at you going to work. So you can get stuff like that. I mean, that's a great shot right there. You had to be pretty close, Jay.
Yeah, we were probably about, 5 or 6 rows back. Yeah, totally. So
Yeah,
here's my very first. So this was my very first official concert photography gig, and this was Night Ranger and Sammy Hagar. And again, coincidentally, Night Ranger was my first ever concert, period. So when I was a kid, I saw Night Ranger when they were at their peak back in the 80s. And it was sort of full circle to be my first ever concert for, my official concert photography, photo pass gig as well at the same time. And it was awesome. As you guys said, you don't know what to expect for that gig. So I just brought everything with me. I brought my drone and you name it. I brought everything. And it came down to me having just this was shot on my Panasonic GH5 with my 50 to 150 lens or something like that, 2.8. And I pretty much shot most of the season with that lens. After this show, so like Hemp, I just shot a million shots. I just held the trigger down and just fired because I didn't know what I was going to get. And I turned the knobs, my shutter speed, fire, turn another thing, fire until I sort of got something that like cool. And then, I started getting it. I really quickly learned how to dial in my settings. And I learned real quick that, for me, what my camera can and can't do with certain lighting and stuff like that. So that very first show was I couldn't believe it. I'm like, holy cow, I'm physically, I have a pass. I can walk around and take pictures at a concert. This is so cool. I don't have to sneak a camera in my pants anymore.
It's funny you say that, though. I remember showing up one of the first nights, and Steve was already working there, and I had this huge bag. And he kind of looked at me like, you going on vacation somewhere or what? And it's like, you just learn from that. And I scaled down my bag ever since then. It's, pretty compact now. So, yeah, I know, though. You bring everything under the sun to your first show. It's like, I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that. And then you don't use half of it.
Yeah.
So,
by the end of the season, you're carrying more snacks than you are camera gear.
Exactly.
Hey, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have suggestions or questions about shows you'd like us to talk about, send an email to nhconcertphotogs@gmail.com. Again, that's nhconcertphotogs@gmail.com. And we'll see you on the next show.